Hi, this is Majinoni, and here's some more comic reviews for you. And also, we're going to talk about the latest development in Batman Inc., which I'll do that after this. First of all, we have Indestructible Hulk number 4, Daredevil number 23, Savage Wolverine number 2, G.I. Joe number 1, the relaunch, and Deadpool number 5. You know, I'm just going to do Deadpool 5 first, because this isn't too bad of an issue. Now, we're still dealing with the dead presidents and all, but overall it's just fun. The art's great, the humor in it is great, and one thing I really enjoyed about this is how they're spoofing Ronald Reagan and his movie with the chimpanzee. And because the ghost of Reagan goes up into a space shuttle filled with Russian chimps, and um, he's basically trying to drop missiles down on the United States. So I think all of that's really funny. I mean, in terms of Reagan's past and history, they even make reference to the jelly beans. And the sad thing is, a book like Deadpool is it's at least the series so far. These 5 issues are playing at a consistent level, but it's nothing that's great. Meaning, it doesn't have like top tier creative team. Extremely high profile like the X-Men and Avenger titles, so it just kind of sits there in its own little hole in the Marvel Universe, and, a Deadpool fan reads it, and that's pretty much about it, which is a shame, because I wish more people would take chances outside, like the very top cream books. Okay, Incredible Hulk number 4. What we have here is the Hulk. You get a mixture of part of his civilian life with his new staff, and you also get a mixture of the Hulk smashing. Now, in this case, it's a threat from under the ocean, and we got a lot of giant sea monsters. We have Atuma rising, and we haven't really seen Atuma in a long time. And for the most part, I honestly think of as Atuma as he used to be a good character, and he kind of deteriorated into like a junk character. Basically you take him out of water and what happens? He's useless. And now I'm hoping that we're going to see, some decent action out of the Hulk versus Atuma. But we'll see. This issue here, it's nothing that I would consider like earth-shattering. It's nothing fantastic. But I do like some of the artwork, especially that's why I'm leaving it on this page, because these monsters look great, and the Atuma picture also looks good. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that battle. I have high hopes, but, even though I'm saying I have high hopes, trust me when I say there's a part of me that realizes that this fight is going to fail, and it's nowhere going to live up to what I envision in my head what it's going to be like. But we'll see. Okay, actually I'm going to save this one, because this is going to tie into another thing later. Okay, let's do G.I. Joe. This is going to be really quick. They're basically relaunching the G.I. Joe series, and they're scrubbing it. Looks like a lot of what happened before. Now, if you look in the very back, they do make references to other series that are going to be, looks like, dealing with some of that stuff. But overall, it's just like a watered-down version of what it used to be like. Like the government is they can't pick the best team to go on the mission. They have to make sure they have the right mix of gender, races, and they even talk about how these code names got picked and why they're forced to wear stupid costumes. And I'm like, part of that is half the fun of G.I. Joe, because you don't really believe there's this secret organization and they really dress like that. It's part of the joke, so to speak. But I don't know. I mean, I'll probably get it just because of I want something different other than superheroes, and it's decent. There's decent fighting, decent action. They got some tech, they got ninjas, and they got the Baroness. But this is definitely not going to be, for everybody. This is a load of garbage, and I'm dropping it. I don't know, I just don't think it's good. The writing is average at best. The art's good. I mean, if you really want to see, half naked men and Shauna half naked, then this is fantastic. But like you have Wolverine. He's like, he gets speared by Shauna, and then he later falls, and the tree branch goes through the same wound spot. And he's complaining because the wound's not going to heal right. And I'm like, with the amount of ninjas that you've fought over the years, none of your wounds should have healed right. With how many times you've been cut up, how many times you've been burned, how many times your healing has been put to the ultimate test, and you're telling me two wounds in the same spot is not going to make that thing heal right. I'm like, please. And it's just, I don't know. This thing really isn't living up to what I was hoping it was going to be. And I think when you combine this with Wolverine and the X-Men and how they're in this Savage Land also, it's kind of like you're doing the same story twice. And the only difference is one has a bunch of reckless kids, the other one has a half-naked Tarzan girl. And yeah, I'm surprised. It's not appealing to me. Okay. Now let's talk about Daredevil and Batman. Okay, now the Daredevil storyline, I'm going to say, is overall solid. Because what we're doing is we're looking into who's attacking Matt Murdock. And there's somebody out there who's trying to recreate the accident to give people heightened senses, and then they're causing mischief. Okay, so that part's good. The other part is, if you remember, Foggy has cancer. And in this issue, we discover, yes, he does indeed have cancer. Now, let's take a look here with this. And this revolves around the story of character death and things like that. Now, when you have a character who is an important side cast member, like Foggy, and you have him with an incurable, I don't want to say incurable, but a terminal disease, this could potentially be a very powerful story, where, you can have the rebonding of friendships, you can have memories from the past, lots of emotions. And then if the person lives or dies, you can play on emotions there also. If it's a death, you can play on the sadness and the loss. If it's the person lives, then it's rebirth. But this is the problem here. This is Marvel Comics, and nobody dies. And a lot of times it's just smoke and mirrors, like Captain America died, but how many people believed he was really dead or going to stay dead? We all knew it was just a matter of time before he came back. Let's look at Human Torch. Same thing. He died, and we all knew he was going to come back on an anniversary issue. Boom, he's back on an anniversary issue. Bucky, the one person who's not supposed to die, come back, he came back as Winter Soldier. Phoenix, how many times has Phoenix come back? Countless times. Aunt May's come back from the dead. You had, and keep in mind, I understand the Aunt May thing was, I think she had a couple scares, and one they really were leaning towards a certain direction, but they quote unquote fixed it before it officially would have happened. Uncle Ben, they keep bringing him back as often as they possibly can, without bringing him back physically. And there's just, we all know that if Foggy dies, it's a matter of time before the next writer or two is going to bring him back, and he's going to be a member of the Hand with secret ninja techniques. And personally, I think comic books have really lost their sense of their ability to come out and be truthful in a sense, and they lost a lot of credibility. Now, and this leads to the Wall Street Journal leak. Or not when we say leak, they're a spoiler. And this deals with Batman Inc. And I'm sure by now you people have already seen the cover or the article where it says Damian dies. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Damian dies. Damian, he is a strong character. He's one of the DC's brightest new characters, and he is basically clay that is yet to be molded, and you kill him. Now, I understand that there's word that, maybe this Batman Inc. is set in its own little universe, and then at the same time, even though it's in its own little universe, it's still connected in ways and things like that. But it doesn't matter. And I understand there's a story where he's fighting a clone and he dies. So what did you do? You just either A, wasted my time saying he dies and his clone's really dead, but Damian's alive, or, oh, surprise, surprise, Damian really died, but his clone survived. I mean, please. This is the character. I mean, why did you go put us through Death of the Family and have Damian survive, then have the family dying, in the sense like bond of Batman and all of his, Bat buddies is broken, and then you kill Damian after the fact? That is complete and utter nonsense. I don't know what DC is thinking. Now, let's just assume that, okay, fine, this is in an alternate universe. Why is the death of Robin newsworthy if it's in an alternate universe? It's not, because it's not DC continuity. You have a book called Batman and Robin, and you're killing Robin. What are you going to do? Bring Jason Todd back in as Robin? Or is Tim Drake suddenly going to give up his mantle and, come in as Robin again as his sidekick? It's ridiculous and utter nonsense. And I'm like, well, I know you've heard me multiple times say that I want to see death and I want to see things like that, but I want to see it done right. And neither of these companies are doing it right. They're just doing it to throw sales. DC saw that with every time Marvel did a press release, oh, guess what? Peter Parker's not going to be Spider-Man anymore. Oh, look at that. Captain America dies. Human Torch dies. Sales go up. Now DC follows the same suit, and they do it in such a bogus-ass way. I mean, please. Robin dying. And it's not even Batman normal continuity. It's in this weird state of what is it? I don't. And, you can have 1,000 comments underneath here saying, Maginoni, you're an idiot because Batman Inc. is in continuity and it's just a side story. But you know what? It's not. I don't care what anybody tells me. Batman Inc. is not in normal continuity because it's in its own little world. It's a thread from the old DC universe that, they couldn't tell Grant Morrison that he couldn't write his story any longer because he was in the middle of it. That's what that thing is. And I don't care what you tell you. I don't care if they somehow write an issue where they make a connection between the two. No, that's bullcrap. That's just shoddiness. To me, Batman Inc. is fan fiction, and what you're doing is you are promoting fan fiction. And even the death, you can't even. No, there is no DC writer, editor, or anybody in the world that can tell me that the death of Damian is justified. In this case, it is completely exploitative, and it's complete and utter nonsense. Which leads me back to Daredevil here. It's stuff like that that makes this storyline, where it could have been a powerful piece of work, completely utter nonsense. I don't believe this stuff. You can tell me, Mark Waid can come to me and knocking on my door and say, Maginoni, you're an idiot. Foggy's going to die. He really will die, and it's going to be a tragic issue. And I'll tell Mark Waid, you know what? You might kill him, but I guarantee you somebody down the road is going to have a story that they need him back, and they need to pump up sales again, and he will return. Doctor Strange is going to do his mumbo-jumbo, or maybe the Hand is going to resurrect him, and he'll be an anti-Daredevil ninja, and that's going to cause trauma. Maybe the Kingpin digs him up and uses voodoo, to bring him back alive. And let's talk about the Age of Ultron while we're at it, where they're hinting that the Marvel Universe is going to restart anyways. Let's say it does restart. What is this story here? This is utter nonsense then. This story, who cares if Foggy's going to die? Because you saw the pictures from released for the Age of Ultron. Everything gets destroyed for the most part. And it looks like we're going way into the future in that storyline. So who cares if he has cancer? if he has cancer, he's got a month or two left to live before the Age of Ultron hits. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, let's do some better planning and stuff. You know, and then let's just assume that the Age of Ultron is there. You know what's going to happen if that Age of Ultron goes into the future at any length for any length of time, other than something reasonable. You know, like we're talking about if it goes at least a year into the future, you know what's going to happen. There's only two things that can happen. One, they're going to have time travel to go back to the past to prevent certain things from happening, to retcon everything out so nothing happens. Or two, they're going to have to travel back into time and prevent certain things from happening, but then the event technically happens and there are consequences in which they bring in that new universe type nonsense, that merging. Or I guess you can say three, Marvel takes place right after Age of Ultron, and everything's in shambles. But if they do that, continuity and everything's a mess, and then we're all gonna freak out on top of Marvel because we can't get our Spider-Man the way we want it to be. It'll be some crazy Spider-Man, and everybody's gonna be all cut up and beaten and never the same again, like they always say. And I understand this is an unguessable ending, so my three possible solutions probably aren't even it. There's probably another solution. Like some other time traveling dream sequence that I never thought of, or any of us could think of. And only the smartest minds at Marvel thought of. But I'm just so tired of this type of nonsense. Tell a story, and make it a good story, and that's all I want. And if somebody dies, they die. I don't want this. They die, and then you just look at the calendar to see when they're coming back, and we can pretty much guess when. It's like ridiculous. Even with Superior Spider-Man, we already knew. Some of us already knew that Peter Parker was going to be back. It was just a matter of time. And sure enough, that first issue, we saw he's coming back. So Foggy Nelson, cancer, in your face, because I know Foggy will never stay dead. Foggy is too important of a character to Matt Murdock. Foggy is basically Matt's anchor. So, fine, they can kill him for a little while, and they can have Matt Murdock, go crazy again, like what they just did, but this time he'll go crazy for real? Please. You know what I'm saying? Please. Treat us with a little bit more intelligence when you come up with this crap. Especially the death of Robin nonsense. God, jeez. You needed to have Joker kill Robin if that was the case. And do it during Death in the Family. Not in this Batman Inc. that half the Batman fans aren't even reading because it's utter trash. Anyways. That's it, my rant for now. And I know I left loopholes and left things out. And probably inconsistencies. But I'm royally pissed off at this type of nonsense. Anyways, until next time.